Okay, let's start. So I'm going to express a different level of excitement here. Why? Because in my line of profession as an instructional designer and a corporate trainer, right, the topic today is always my favorite. And also because I feel that the topic today, apart from being presented by the person itself, right, the most, I think the one of the, how to say, leading in this subject, yeah. So and also I feel like the topic today is one of the most crucial skills and tools when I'm designing my training delivery to ensure that, like always, yeah, as a trainer, we want to have our session as interesting and as engaging as we can, and so that we all will be able to create a learning environment that is effective and impactful, right? So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for dropping by. Welcome to Point of View series. Today is our 31st episode. And let me also explain what is the Point of View series. The Point of View is basically a live online talk show where we invite guests to share their knowledge, their experiences, wisdom, or perspective with our audience. And the purpose of Point of View series is basically to enlighten each other and hopefully along the line of getting the light bulb moment so that perhaps we all could act upon for the betterment of ourselves and also others. And my name is Jacqueline Joannis. I'll be hosting the session, but I'm not the only host. As you can see on the screen, my good friend Sheikh Omar to also host the session. And here with us today, as you can see on your screen, we are honored to have Jegatheeswaran Manoharan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. All right. Thank you very much, Jeka, that you have agreed to spend an hour of your precious Tuesday with us at POV. And to our
Thank you so much.
yes, thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for your support once again. Some of you might be our regular viewers. Thank you so much for your support. And to our live viewers, thank you for dropping by. We hope that however long that you decide to be with us in this session, you'll gain something out of it. Now, talking about gaining, I think in this context, it's really about learning something out of the topic today. And I believe it works in various ways, but the most important things that we should consider in order for us to get the most of the session is to be part of the session. And how can you be part of the session is by asking questions, and also you are allowed to share your perspective around the topics today as well. And therefore, I would like to encourage you to do exactly that. You can do that during live or later in case that you are watching the recording, because the recording will be on my Facebook wall until Facebook decide not to, right? And as usual, a short introduction about Omar and I, and then we will have our guest expert today to introduce himself. To start on, Omar.
Yeah, hi everybody. Welcome back to the show, and for the new viewers, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, my name is Omar, and I provide training with a focus on conversations and communication. And part of the reason, my main motivation was the fact that when I was in corporate, I found that a lot of issues that people had were around communication. If people had better communication skills, a lot of problems could have been solved in probably half the time and with less stress. You know, so when I left corporate, I started to focus on communication skills and conversational skills. So that's what I do. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you, Omar. So for me, profession-wise, for 13 years, I work in learning and development unit in a few companies. I started with MSc status company, followed by 2 MNCs companies. I left my 9-to-5 job and embarked into 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. job in 2013, and founded a company that's specializing in corporate training and an academy where I mentored and coached a new image consultant. So my area of focus is image consultancy and personal and professional growth and development. 70% of my business comes from corporate trainings and the rest is one-on-one coaching and mentoring. That's all about I and Oma. Our guest speaker today is a team effectiveness consultant, simulation designer, and board member of North American Simulation and Gaming Association. Let's continue further to know about Jega. So over to you, Jega.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for this invitation, Jacqueline and Omar. It's been an honor, pleasure to be here, to be interviewed by great people like you as well. You know, so it's nice. I feel a bit more relaxed in this atmosphere. Although I know it's live, you know. All right. So yeah, my background is I'm actually a corporate trainer as well, and specialize in the area of team effectiveness and team leadership. But we are known out there for using games and simulation. So a company is Accordia Training and Development. Accordia is known for using games and simulations. So today, when we get a call from clients, they tell us their situation and they say, can you figure out anything? Can we simulate this out or what? Or do you have a solution? So all our solutions built around games and simulation, but that's not the only thing that we do. We run courses because games and simulation is an avenue. So it's a way of how you can deliver lesson, but that's not the only way. There are so many other techniques out there along with facilitation, which is very much tied to games and simulation. Because if you don't facilitate the session or debrief the session well, it's pointless. Also, there's storytelling, there's case studies, so many other things. So games and simulation is one element of it, and it's just that we are known for that, and we also enjoy doing it. You know, it's kind of fun. All right.
All right. Thank you, Jega. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this 31st episode of Point of View series, we're going to learn exactly that, the games and activities for interactive virtual classroom and or meetings. So to continue on, I shall pass to Oma. Oma?
Yeah, so guys, if you do online sessions and you want to make it interactive, you're in for a treat because Jega is you know, like Jack said, he's a leading guy in the Malaysian market for this, and also globally, he's quite known. And so you're in for a treat because he's going to share with us some gimmicks, right? Some gimmicks that he has in his bag of tricks. So Jega, let me start by asking you, you know, when you talk about the term gamification, for the benefit of the audience out there, of the viewers out there, sometimes people think that gamification means playing games during training, right?
Yeah.
For instance, and the simplest game is to actually give points for activities, right? So for instance, you split the room into groups, and then you give them an activity, and you say, whoever finishes this first will get 50 points. You know, the second group will get 30 points. And the whole idea is to get everybody energized and run around and do it fast. And some people think that that's what gamification means, right? And it doesn't always work. It may work for an environment that is fun, or for participants who could be high energy young people. But if you do this to a more senior position, people with senior positions, they might find it a bit infantile, a bit childish. You know, and I'm one of those. I'm one of those senior people. If you put me in a workshop or in a training room, and if there is a serious topic that I'm trying to pick up, and the you know, you could tell the trainer wants the energy of the room to pick up, and suddenly he says, okay, the first person who does this, you know, you win a prize or something like that. And I would always go, you know, I would be very discouraged by something like that, because it really spoils the theme of the whole thing, right? So what I want to ask you is, I know that gamification is more than just playing games in the training room. So perhaps you could help define or clarify what that means.
All right, thank you, Omar. That's actually a very good question. And in fact, where even if you don't ask me that question, I will somehow answer that, because my mission is to make sure we clear the air in this thing about gamification, because that's a word that has been very loosely thrown around. You play an activity, you do a simulation in the classroom, and they call it gamification, which is not accurate. I mean, it's like, you can call it whatever you want to call. I mean, I can call Bunga Raya a rose. That's, as long as my family understands, that's good enough. But the thing is, that's not the accurate thing. You're going to have a lot of misconception when we are talking at a global scale and all. So, like what you pointed out is correct. So basically, what gamification is, that if you create a game-like environment in a non-gaming context, okay, or you create a game element in a non-gaming environment, that is called gamification. So in other words, you want people to do something, but people won't do that naturally. So we want to create a game-like thing so that they will do it. So like, for example, to throw rubbish, you want to encourage kids to throw rubbish, but then how do you reward them and all? What if the rubbish bin actually has a buzzer and beep sound, or something flashes out, and then kids will start wanting to throw rubbish because they like to see the effect of it. Now that's a simple aspect of what gamification is. Throwing rubbish is a non-gaming environment, okay? But you create a game-like thing so that you encourage the behavior. So same thing when it comes to attach points and leaderboards to it. So when you complete a particular module, you achieve a certain point, and then you achieve some medal and all that. So that's a way on how they motivate people to complete. Like, for example, one good thing is my kids use that because they are both homeschool. Khan Academy, okay, Khan.org. Khan Academy has modules over there where kids can learn. It's free. And when they complete a particular module, they got to get like 6 questions straight correct, and then they get a trophy, and then they consider completed, and the percentage is shown over there. So they are going after, like, no, I want to complete this, I want to complete this. So the motivation to complete is coming because of a game-like thing. Had it been just modules and we tell them, okay, I need you to finish this module, I need you to finish the subtopic, that motivation may not be there as much as creating like a game-like environment. So that's gamification. So if you can create a gamified environment for people to complete something, complete a learning thing or an assignment, then you can possibly call that gamification. But if you're playing games in classroom for the purpose of teaching something, let's say I'm doing a simulation about building a city or building a tower or whatever, and I'm relating that experience to some real world scenarios and all that, that's not gamification. That's game-based learning, or you can call it simulation. So that's the thing that we would like to clarify here.
Okay, so that's great. I understand that you have some activities that you want to show with us. So perhaps you can give us a brief outline of what are the things that you want to share with us today, so people can kind of anticipate what we're going to be looking at.
Okay, great. So you see, one thing is that the face-to-face, I mean, I miss face-to-face. I really like face-to-face classroom, so face-to-face give us a lot of opportunity to do a lot of stuff, okay? We could create discussions, we could create activities. The flexibility was much more, and we had a richer experience, richer sense of involvement, a richer experience. And because of that rich experience, we had a wider spectrum, I call it a spectrum of experience for us to debrief, to play around with. Okay, so there is a wide spectrum. So because there's a wide spectrum, you can be in this end of the spectrum, you can be here, you can be here, you can be here. You create a wide spectrum of variety. So the learning becomes very, very fun, very, very engaging, and you can do that. But then when it came to virtual, that spectrum, which was this wide, has been shortened or narrowed to this much. So this is how much I can see you. I would like to see what's behind you, but I can't, unless you give me permission. I hope one day there will be a hologram where we can walk around each other. Possibly it might just happen. But the thing is, because of this narrow band of spectrum, there is a very limited thing that you can actually do online. So we resort to the common thing. Common thing is like we lecture, we use the slides and all. But you think about it, if we are going to use slides for a presentation or a training workshop, and we're going to have a bit of discussion there, we are falling back on what we did not want to do in the past. You see, in the past, we said, classroom, do not go for with slides alone. Slides are, you should not be conducting a workshop totally with slides. Nothing wrong about having slides, but you should not be having a total workshop of just slides and talking and the slides. That's not proper workshop. You need to have the engagement. You need to have that, the learning has to happen over there. But what happened is, the moment we went into virtual classrooms or online learning, we defied all that principles. We went against all the principles, and we sort of like went against that, and we are using the very thing that we spoke against, which is slides. So that what happens is that people get tired, and it's like download of information, and that questions a bit on the learning process. So there's like what Sir Ken Robinson said, teaching is happening, but whether learning is happening is a different story altogether. But definitely there was a workshop that was taking place. Did anybody learn from the workshop is a different story. So what I would like to share here today is that it doesn't have to be that way. Within the narrow band, the narrow spectrum here, we can create a variety of experience. Definitely it's not as good as the face-to-face, but we can create something that will keep the learning engaging. At least people won't feel tired. And most importantly, you as a trainer won't feel tired. That's the most important thing. Maintaining energy in this kind of.
Jega, just before you go on, I'm just reminded, or I just remembered something that somebody mentioned to me a long time ago when we spoke about gamification. The person said, gamification is really simple, just make it fun. So does gamification equal to fun?
Well, fun is definitely an element of a game, but I think it's a very loosely defined thing. Yes, fun. That means fun. Correct. Fun is an element of it, but that's not the only thing.
So then the idea of gamification is to get people to do something that is not natural for them to do in a game-like manner, but it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be necessarily fun, right? But it's going to be engaging. So the whole idea is gamification is to create an activity that's engaging, and it makes people want to do stuff, right? Without having it to be fun, necessarily fun. When I say fun, I'm talking about rah-rah, people running around, having fun, it's like when you tell people, listen, if you finish this project, activity, I'm going to give you 50 points. Then everybody's rushing to get it done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not necessarily gamification, right? But that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, correct. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll just want to add on what Omar mentioned earlier. As I was listening to you, Jega, and I was at the same time visualizing a training environment. It can be face-to-face or virtual environment. So the conclusion that I got is that the look and feel of the learning environment is like pack of activity-based delivery. So it can be fun in a sense that not the rah-rah fun, but it can be fun and full of learning at the same time. Because we learn better when we feel relaxed. So the element of relaxed, casual is there, yet perhaps the subject matter, it can be as heavy as about law, for example. I'm just giving an example here. So if the look and feel that what is exactly happening around the learning environment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jega.
You can say that. For basically what gamification is that you take game elements. So what is a game element? There is a player, there is points, there is a leaderboard, there's a challenge. So you take all that and put those elements in a non-gaming environment. So if it's a non-gaming environment, learning is a non-gaming environment. Throwing rubbish is a non-gaming environment. Exercising is not is a non-gaming environment. But what happens is that you create a game element within that. The number of steps you do. Sometimes people are just going after the steps. So the process of them going after the steps is the gamification. But in the process of doing that, they achieve the number of steps that they are supposed to do. So that's the objective of that. So that's basically in a nutshell what gamification is.
So it's more purposeful, and there's something that I look up, or I will be looking forward for when I do that activity. So it's not just merely, engaging your 2 arms or 2 legs or your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe would you like to continue on the next you would like to share with us around?
Yes. Okay. So what I want to do is that what I like to tell people is that it's not that difficult for you to create an engaging online session as well. So I'm going to just share a little bit of tools today. I'm going to share some tools that does not require the online. I mean, the only online is that Zoom call or whatever conferencing tool you have, but you can actually rely on offline stuff and still do online things. Okay, so get ready. I'm going to throw you some ideas, and also some ideas on how you can actually use the chat box and all that. Okay, so I'll start off with one activity. This is a very simple activity that you can do just with the rubber band. Okay, so this is an online thing. So I want to think about it this way. A lot of the stuff that you want to do online, think of what you have been doing offline in a face-to-face classroom and see if that can be adapted for an online situation. I'll give you one simple example. Let's take a rubber band like this, okay? So what we'll do in a class room session is I'll tell them, okay guys, every one of you hold the rubber band like this. Okay, I want you to measure this rubber band. That's right, that's great, okay? Measure the rubber band without stretching it. I mean, just pull like that and measure it, So if you don't have a ruler in front of you, it's okay, use your keyboard. So that's another thing. Get them to use whatever is available there so that there's no excuse, they say, oh, I cannot, I don't have a ruler here. Hang on, let me go and open my kid's pencil box or something like that. So, okay, put it on alphabet A and see how far it goes. Okay, in my case, it went up to G over there, right? So that's how far it goes, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to put your thumb there and then I want you to just stretch it, okay? So just stretch it like that, gently stretch it. But what you do is don't put it in front of your eye because if it snaps, it won't be very nice. So put it below the table, As you stretch it, just go around, stretch it, and all that, okay? Feel the heat, As you stretch it, you should feel the heat. So what happens? They tend to rub on it a bit more and all that, stretch it and all that. So after a few rounds and all that, okay, now you take it and put it on the thing, how far it is, okay? So now if this was a new rubber band, definitely you would have stretched to the point where you cannot return to its original size. I mean, you've seen that. A fresh rubber band, when you stretch it, it'll become longer, it won't come back to its original size. So that is what we call as a metaphor-like activity. You can tell them, you see, the whole program that we are doing today is all about stretching, okay? It's about stretching, and you will never be able to return to this original size. So my hope for you is that after this webinar of 1 hour, you will never be able to return to your original size in terms of the way you think about using games and activities for learning. Now, then someone asked me once, okay, Jega, what if that guy, when he's stretching it, the rubber band just snaps? Putus. I said, that's your creativity. Debrief it whichever way you like. So maybe sometimes you have to snap, you have to stretch until what you call as a breakthrough. All right, so if it snaps, that means it's a breakthrough. You have gone beyond what you can actually achieve. So you see, this would be an activity that you can do in the classroom. But you can also conduct it online and there's no issues about it. All right, so that's one. I'm going to keep count. I don't know how many I'm going to share with you. I see how much I can share. Okay.
I think my rubber band is a rubber band tool. It doesn't stretch very much.
It's already extended. So now you have to break it. So this is what you call as a metaphor. So the rubber band is just a metaphor to do that. In the classroom last time, we used to use balloons. You know, we used to tell people to, okay, look at the size of the balloon, you know, trace a picture of the balloon on a piece of paper. Okay, now I want all you to blow the balloon, and then, okay, hold it up and all that. And then after let go the air, and then you see the size of the balloon. Is it the original size or not? So people have done things like that to show about how you can expand and all that. But the thing is, in an online situation, people don't have access to that. So what we need to do is use props which are available to them. Something where they do not have to give an excuse to go and look for one, you know, even paper or what. Another way on how you can actually do online, offline thing is that learn some origami. Okay, you can learn some origami. So you see, in a classroom setting, usually we'll have the props. We will give them props. So for example, let's say I want to discuss something about, I want to train kids. So today we're talking about training as well as meeting. Okay, so I'm not going to confine training to just adult training. So we can talk about kids or even teenagers. You're trying to train them or something. Okay, let's say we talk about environment thing, and then we want to teach them about what's actually are we putting into this earth. So we can ask them to cut off small pieces of paper. Okay, give them the dimension on how they need to cut paper and all that, and write a list of 10 trash that we have that we are putting into this earth. All right, and then write down 10 natural things that you have: mountains, lake, pond, sea, you know, forest, desert, and all. You write another 10 lists over there. So now we want to just create some metaphor for us to explain something to people. So one of the ways is that you can actually learn some simple ways of how you can fold paper and turn it into a box. Okay, search online, there's enough stuff about it, how you can take paper and fold them and turn into a box. You can actually share that video with them. All right, guys, I want all of you to watch this video and fold this paper and create this box. And everyone, can you show me your box or not? Okay, this box is your earth. So name your planet. You know, this is your planet, so name your planet. Everybody goes into naming the planet and all that. And then, okay, now take all that natural stuff that you have written, the 10 natural things that you like to have in your planet, and put it inside. Okay, so put it inside there. Now shake the planet and have a look at it, how beautiful it is. What are the things you can see inside the box there? Oh, I have the mountains, I have the lake, I have the sea, I have the river, and all that. All right, now I want to take the 10 rubbish that you just had over there and put that into that earth as well. So this is your earth, and this is what you've been putting. Now have a look at it and tell me what you see inside there. You see, they are doing the activity in their location. You're just guiding them. But then from that itself, that metaphor, you can actually have some conversation. Tell me, how do you feel looking at your earth? Okay, everyone will share. What is that? Okay, tell me, how is that? What can we do for us that we should be able to see the earth that we would like to see? So then you have conversations. You have some idea. You can have some conversations going with that. So that's number 2. Okay, right now let's talk about ice breaking activity. Right. So ice breaking activities are ice breaking is actually very important. I will tell you that. Please don't assume that because it's online, we don't have to go through that ice-breaking context setting. That's suicidal if you're running a workshop. And if that takes about half an hour, 45 minutes of your time to just getting to know people, spend that time, because you're going to go through a long-term workshop. Maybe there's going to be a series of workshop, and it really depends on the time. So let's say if it's just a 3-hour workshop, then you have to time yourself at least half an hour on context setting and getting to know people over there. Okay, you can do 2 in 1, right? So one of the activity that I have, which I use quite often, is called the number plate. So what I'm going to do is, for this, I am going to share screen a little bit here, right? So let's see how that goes. So bear with me in this transition. So, oh, I can't share screen here. Can I? Okay, now I can. All right. Okay, good. So let me see. Okay, can you see my screen there? Can see? Okay, you see a number plate there? All right. So what I'll do is I'll usually show this number plate to them and say, okay, these are number plates from different countries. Okay, every country has a number plate, and a number plate actually tells a story. See, in Malaysia, our number plate just says which state the car is registered and the serial number. So from the alphabet, you know more or less, you know, when the car was about a year ago, 2 years ago, and your reference is another car that of a different number plate. All right. But in some countries, the number plate says exactly which state, which county is it from, you know, a province or what. It even states the year of the manufacturing of the car. So if you have one of the number then 98 means the car was manufactured in 98. 00 means it was manufactured in the year 2000. So it tells a lot of stories. So what we're going to do now is that I'm going to throw this activity to you. I want to ask you, what is your number plate? So the format of the number plate is going to be like this. You're going to write a year, dash, an alphanumeric, dash, an alphanumeric. So the year here, I leave it up to you. You can tell me your year of birth, if that's okay, or something significant about the year. Probably you got married, or you joined the company, or you know some major thing that you achieved in that year. So you're going to put a year over there. The next one is an alphanumeric. Alphanumeric is you're going to have a number and an abbreviation for something there. So in this case, mine is 2P. So I'll tell you what 2P is in a short while. And then dash another story. So 30YE. So what's my story is that 2007. So when I write this 2007 2P dash 30YE, nobody understands it. So what I'll do is I'll tell everyone to type your alphanumeric in the chat box. So what does this alphanumeric mean? 2007 was the year Accordia was formed. 2P is we started with 2 partners, and 30Y is between Zyrol and myself combined, we have 30 years of training experience. Now it can even be another one, you know, I can write there 2001, 2C, and 3 W's. Okay, so what is that? So 2001, I got married, I got 2 children. 3W is not 3 wives, but 3 countries around the world that we have visited as a family. Okay, so they can write down that, and we'll give the chat box then. Type it out in the chat box. So everyone will type their chat box, and then we'll go in that order, and I will ask everyone to, okay, guys, I need you to do this. Enable your screen. Okay, am I out of screen share now? Yeah, okay, good, right. So I'll ask them to enable your video and enable your audio. If you can't enable the video, that's fine, but I will ask them anyway. You know, sometimes you just try your luck. Today, one of the biggest challenge we're having in virtual classrooms is people do not want to turn their video on. And that's a big problem to us, because throughout our life, we have been trained, and we have been training ourselves to change our dynamics based on the response. You know, so you sense the response, and we are changing. We are thinking, oh, that didn't go well. Okay, that joke didn't go well. Okay, this line, okay, yeah, that guy gets it, so I'm gonna go down that alley and all of it. Right now, it's like this, you know. The only 2 response I'm getting is from you. I can't see anyone in live. I can't see the comments also right now. Okay, but the thing is, we are having this in all the classrooms. So what we want to do, we want to break that monotone a little bit. So how we break the monotone is that at least they do not want to turn on the video, is fine. Turn on your audio and tell us your number plate. That itself changes the dynamics. At least you hear the voices. Everyone listens to everybody's voice. There is a bit of camaraderie because of some personal sharing is taking place over there. And those are some of the things that you could actually do in ice-breaking activities over there. Is that too many? I still have a lot more, but I'll come back
Right.
in a short while.
Before you continue on that, let me also acknowledge our viewers. We have so many viewers today. Thank you so much for dropping by. Ini semua peminat Jega ni kan. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let me acknowledge some of your comments. We have comments from Darren Suresh, our good friend. He said that gamification can be a simulation of a scenario where certain skill sets are required to be a successful leadership, problem solving skills, decision making, etc. Right, you're totally right, Darren. And also, I'd like to acknowledge our another viewer here, Janet Lee. She said, "Hello, great topic. Can't wait to learn from these gurus, Oma and Jega." Yes, same here. Can't wait to learn from them. And a few more comments here. Thank you so much. And Nina Osman. So probably we know now that how a visual impaired trainer feels like. Okay. Further explanation on that, Nina Osman. But thank you for being part of the discussion. Right. All right, Jega, over to you.
Okay, all right. So those are some of the. Okay, thank you very much, Janet. I'm glad Janet is there, Darren is there, Nina. Thank you very much for joining in. They call us gurus, and these are bigger gurus out there, in their own field. Okay, great. Let's talk about other stuff. Okay, what else can we do in the session? One of the thing that I learned from my friend from Nasaga, one of the Nasagans based in Seattle, John Chen. Okay, I give credit to him because I learned it from him. One of the games that he taught us was on a chat box. You can there's a lot of games that you can play on the chat box itself. Now, this is a nice form of energizer, or what I call as a joke. See, in a classroom, oh yeah, coming back to that, some of the offline things that you can do in the classroom. You remember the one that say that you take your hand, put this way, left thumb or right thumb, left. I don't do that nowadays because it's like everybody knows the trick already, So, but you see, all this is offline stuff that can still be done online. So you can do that. So one of the chat games that he taught us was, you get everyone in the chat room, roughly about 15 people. 15 to 20 people, it's a good number to have. HRDF limits to 15, which I agree as well, in terms of for dynamics, learning dynamism. So we tell them the rule. Okay, what you're going to do is there are 26 alphabets, A to Z. Okay, and you're going to put, every one of you are going to type out one alphabet per person. Okay, you're going to type out one alphabet per person, and you can only type that and then enter. All right, so we're going to start with alphabet A, B, C, D, E until Z. Okay, so each one can only type once. And we're going to see how long will it take for you to reach alphabet Z, okay, or Z. The rule is you can speak to one another, you can discuss, you can talk to one another. You're perfectly fine. All right. So, but the moment somebody skips an alphabet or repeats an alphabet, the whole thing starts back. We start back from A. Okay, so this is where one will put A, the other one will B and C, and then someone else put C. All right, I see 3 C's over there. Restart, right? So you keep restarting. And when we played with him once, we had only about like 12 people, I think. No, sorry, 16 people, and we restarted a few times. Okay, we restart a few times. Okay, and we keep quiet until they can solve it themselves. Right. So then after that they'll think of different solutions. So some will say, okay, guys, let's go in order. Okay, let's go in order. Okay, which order? Can you see your names in your attendee list? Now there's a problem in that. The name order in the attendees list is not the same on everybody's computer, right? So it's not and that's when they start realizing, oh, it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. Your order of names is not the same as other people's order. Okay, how do we solve it? And then finally they think of a different way. Okay, I won't let go the solution because some people here who's watching it might be, you might be subjected to do this in your classroom. Okay, but there are various solutions to it. But the idea is the team are allowed to discuss. and how they discuss and come up with a solution to put the alphabets in order, and we just see how much time it took for them to do that. But that's a very quick activity, which you can just call it a fun activity, or you can actually debrief that, a very small debrief, okay, some communication debrief, or you can even be a lengthy discussion around that experience. You just give them that experience and then do a lengthy discussion around that. So that's one alphabet game that you can use over there. But the other things that you can do is, there are a lot of variety that is already built into some of the platforms. I kind of like Zoom. I just hope the banks and some of the major clients out there would start allowing Zoom. Okay, this one I just got to get it off my chest, like, because I think this is a bit of an overdue by some of the corporates. They who ban Zoom. I see. Yes, Zoom had a security issue, but that was 3 months ago, and they have done all their patches. Give them a break, What I like about Zoom is that the flexibility of doing a lot of things is there. Something which I don't get that easily with some other platforms. Some platforms are okay. They are just a mirror of Zoom. They have sort of mimic whatever Zoom does, but some platforms are not there. So I like Zoom, and there's a lot of things within Zoom that you can do. There is a poll that you can use, which I think some people are actually using poll. The other one is recently, which is as recent as yesterday, I was giving a talk. So this is a keynote. This was not a workshop. It was a keynote on unsettled business environment. Okay, what we need to do in this unsettled business environment. So it's a very serious topic, content-heavy topic. But at the same time, because it's a keynote, doesn't mean that you should not involve people. Doesn't mean that it has to be a one-way download and they are not involved at all. So what we did was, I used menti.com, which is quite common. I think prior to this, many people have used menti.com. And one thing I like about menti.com is that it has this feature, or Mentimeter, it has this feature called the cloud word clouds. Okay, and I'm sure there are other platforms or other softwares out there that has that as well. But the word cloud was a very useful tool that I used, because what happened was, we wanted to know what was the mind, because these are a bunch of finance people. They are all from different banks, and they are from different departments within the FI industry. So we wanted to know what was the mindset about where do you see COVID, and where do you see the future of what has COVID done to your business. And everyone just had to type out a single word, and it just forms a word cloud. Okay, so a word cloud, one thing good about it is that as certain word has been used more frequently, that word becomes bigger. So creates a bit of interaction, and it gets them to involve. Because one of the feedback that we received from some of the clients, when we ask them what's your experience about using virtual training, is that they say that there is less engagement. So that's the biggest word, that there is less engagement. So we can actually create engagement through those tools out there.
Right. Wow. A lot of tools that we can use. In fact, I've actually collaborated with one time with Jega, where we were we were collaborating on I was doing the instructional design, and he was doing the interactivity in the class. And I remember that when you did the Mentimeter, I was like, wow, got such thing. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really like mind blowing. So since then, I've been exploring that, but I haven't had the chance to implement those. So look forward to the days in the future. So yeah, thank you so much. One of our audience, Harjit Siju, thank you so much for contributing. And he said that other similar to Menti are Padlet or Miro or Miro.
Miro, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing up Miro. Let me share something that you can do on Miro. Now, in classroom, we used to have card games. Okay, we have card games. Now, how in the world do you do online card games. Okay, so I'm going to share with you one of the thing. Now, if you remember, sometimes we have picture cards in our classroom. We have picture cards, and we use picture cards to describe how do you feel today. As one of the context setting exercise. Choose two pictures. One is how you feel today, and second picture is what do you expect out of this workshop, right? These two pictures. And usually we'll lay these cards. We have this multiple images that we have, and we lay all these cards there. But in an online situation, how we do it? And thanks, Ajit, for bringing that up. Miro is a very good tool. So once again, let me just do a screen share again. Okay, let's go to Miro. This is Miro. This was a topic that we did earlier, dealing with difficult people. So under Miro, what you can do is that it has this huge space of workspace, and you can actually zoom in and zoom out. So here are pictures that what we did was we just put pictures over here. And you want to know where to get this picture, go to pixabay.com, Pixabay. All of these pictures are from pixabay.com. The pictures are free. You are free to take it and use it. No copyright, no need to put any attributes or whatsoever. So it's free for you to use over there. So what we did was we can create these boards here. You all can see my mouse there. Just a thumbs up if you can see my mouse movement. Okay, good. All right. So what we did was, this is something that we did internally with our team members during MCO. So during MCO, people are on different emotions and all that. So we did this. We created boards over here. So these boards can be created. You put a name there, and we told them, choose two pictures from here and drag it to your board, and then explain why did you choose those two pictures. All right. One is that what do you see currently, and what do you see in the future. So these were the different pictures that people can actually use. And the other day I got a call from one of our learning game design graduates, Siva, and he has some. See, he is doing a very serious topic on report writing. So report writing, people think, oh, this report writing is a very serious topic. You cannot create activities on report writing, oh, that's a big bull, I believe this, there is no such thing as a dry topic. There's only something called a dry trainer. Okay, so you can, all right? So Siva had created this activity where he involved cards. When it comes to report writing, there are certain processes and all that. So he has certain card activity that he created, which is a process-based activity. So he was looking for an avenue where he can make this multiple cards and people can move. Now this is a co-working space. So the moment you share, everyone can join into this space here, and you'll see a flying mouse of other people as well. So, and the good thing about this is that, for example, let's say you go here, okay, I want this picture. In a classroom, there's only one of this picture, this conductor. So if somebody takes it, the other person will say, oh, I'm sorry lah, you tak boleh dapat lah, orang lain sudah ambil. But the good thing about online is what? You have something called copy paste. All right, so two people can have the same picture, so no issues about it, unless you create a rule where you do not want people to have the same picture. Okay, so Miro is a very good tool. You can create a lot of things. If you're talking about post-it note discussion and all that, it's an excellent tool to use. All right, so that's one thing that you can do with Miro.
Do you have like a number of users on the Miro? As in like a limited number of users?
Yes, on the free version, they have some limit. I can't recall how many, but they only limit you up to building 3 bots. So what you saw just now was 1 bot. So I can have up to 3 bots. But if you're having multiple bots, then you need to purchase it. But there's various packages there. You don't have to purchase the T package. You may have to explore a little bit, contact Miro and find out what's the best, because they also have a package called consultants package. So consultants package is like, I think you can invite people where you're just going to work on one project and then that's it, there's nothing more. with them. So you can actually explore that as well, a consultant's package over there. So that's something that you can do. Miro is very flexible. We designed a game using Miro, um, where because we were remote, everyone was remote. All of the testing was happening within Miro, and it was a pretty good tool for us to use for that.
Right. So Jega, I have a question for you, because as I was listening to you again, I sort of like my brain categorized those activities. One part of those activities, or one category of those activities are low tech, where you can just use rubber band, and the
Yeah,
other example, and another part of it is like kind of like you have to use technology. So how do
yeah.
you see, how do we decide when we are designing, um, what are the rule of thumbs, for example?
Okay, good question there. It's a good thing you asked it now. I've forgotten that part. Two things. One is your comfort with the technology. Now, you don't have to force yourself to go and take something very high tech just to look cool. Okay, that's very important over there. You want to go with your comfort on what you can handle, and you can do that. You see, actually, you don't have to, even without Miro, uh, just using the chat box, using the breakout rooms, um, uh, yeah, the breakout rooms, and just voice and maybe video. You may have a video you want them to watch. Let them watch a video and have a discussion and all that. Even that itself, it's already great. See, the idea is this: how many sub modalities we can touch within a given time span. So let's say if you're having a 3-hour class, you need time for content. You need time for discussion. So if all the time is going to go into multiple activity, then it will be the same story like what we did in the classroom. Trainer ni main je, tak ada apa. So that we do not want that to happen. See, so you need to segregate the time that we will have some experience. So the purpose of the experience is, we need to be very clear. Our idea is, how do we create variety in the learning process? So it's very important to just know that. So in a given training workshop of 3 hours, if you have two elements of variety over there, it's great. You have a different thing, because you're going to have breakout rooms and all that. You can actually create something very simple. I give you okay, I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you what I did for a 3 hour workshop. We started with just saying hi, some tech check and all that, and some ground rules, and then after that we went through that that game, what do you call it, the number plate. And after that we did one activity, which is a co-working space kind of activity, like Miro. Okay, we did one activity there, and then we had slides, we had breakout room, and that's it, conclusion. When we were listening to that, and the 3 hours was, you don't feel the 3 hours as a trainer. It doesn't become tiring for you, and even the participant don't feel the 3 hours was really like, I have to listen to this guy talk and download our information. And this is, by doing things like this, you can't get those people who will turn off their videos and all and start doing their office work, because you're going to interrupt them. Like it or not, you're going to keep interrupting them. Okay. The second thing you need to look into. So one is your comfort. Second thing is the level of the participant. Now, my take is this: if you are using this platform, a video conferencing platform, and you need them to work on another thing like Miro or Jamboard or on a Google Sheet or whatever, have one additional item. That's it. So in other words, if I'm using this and I'm going to go and use Jamboard, it will only be this two. Okay. I would not want to use Jamboard and then I want to use something else. I want to do something else, because there is an onboarding process that you need to take into account when people are doing it. So do not overwhelm the participant. And there are other things that you need to also look into is, once again, my message to the IT departments of all the banks, especially, please, if world has changed, you need to allow Google shared document to work, all right? Because we are having challenge with most of the banks because some of the shared thing that we are trying to create on Google Doc or Google Sheet, they can't participate, because their Wi-Fi doesn't allow access to Google and all that. And although they have like 40 GB of data, but they do not want to turn it on, So those things are putting some block to what we can do. So Miro is one option because it's not being blocked by any of these things. But when it comes to like Google and all, you may want to check with the organization, do they have restriction for people to access Google documents and all? Because some companies very strict, they cannot access. So they cannot access, you got to figure out another activity. You may not be able
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, Jaga, you were talking about onboarding, right? Onboarding, and I think you're referring to participants to get familiar with a particular tool.
Yeah.
Right. So, like for instance, Miro. If I'm going to use Miro, but participants may not know Miro. So so you're saying I need to account for that time for them to learn, right? So
That's right.
I could probably, I could probably allocate some time so that they play around with it and they understand how to use the basics of Miro.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're going to use a tool which is a way, onboarding is a very important thing. And I would recommend if you're doing like a long series workshop, do an onboarding about a day or a few days earlier,
Okay.
where people can come in to do a tech check. Because I tell you what, okay, we did this it was a test session. It was not with a client. It was just a test session during MCO. And then some, like the Miro, they cannot click and they cannot rotate. They say, how do I rotate this? And then the mouse was not working properly. You cannot use a trackpad properly. So they say, okay, hang on, let me go and get a mouse. And everyone here is waiting, the person went to get a mouse, for 5 minutes, and then you have to wait. So you want to avoid this. So it'll be good that you have an assistant or somebody to go online, tell them, okay, we're going to be using this Miro thing. We need you to be familiar with this. So schedule a time. You can give them like two. And this idea I learned from Juara, our king, in facilitation, So he suggested you give them two slots. Okay, so you can have one slot in the morning between 10 to 10:30, and then another one is at in the evening between 4:30 to 5. We just need you to come in just to check in, to make sure that your devices, you know how to do it. And very simple thing, like how do you take out a sticky note, type out something over there, so that when we are in the classroom, we don't waste time teaching people how to hold a pencil. Okay, this is the big challenge today, because when you use this kind of tools, it's like teaching kids how to hold a pencil. So if they don't even know how to hold it, how are they going to write the alphabets? See? So you want to settle that earlier. But sometimes this does not happen all the time. You need to take into account that as much as we plan, some clients are not willing to, or they say, I'm too busy, I will come then figure it out. So what you can do is allocate about half an hour earlier for them to come to do a check and all that, so that, so that's why you see, whenever you use an external platform or what, make sure that the platform is easy to learn, easy to use. It should not be complex. It should not be difficult for them to use. So that is why, if as much as possible you can stick within that this zone, it'll be great. That's why I also say, if you're going to use something else, let's say you're going to go into a Google Sheet, that's it. That's all. Google Sheet. You're going to use Zoom, you're going to use Google Sheet, and that's it. Whatever others is within Zoom itself.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And there's this question from our viewers, one of our viewers. Any tips for running virtual trainings with rural communities with very weak internet? So if they do need to turn off their video, is there anything else we can actually do? This is, I think, virtual training for the rural communities with very weak internet connection. I can paste the questions on the chat if you need to.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I get the question.
Yep.
Now, the rural community, this comes back to your hometown story lah, that made news. Kena
Yeah,
pajak
yeah.
pokok.
Yeah, we need a tip apart from climbing the tree. You know, I mean, I hope the ministry is listening to this.
Yeah, really, it's such an embarrassing thing that in this time of age, you have certain parts where there are students and all that, and they have to resort to this. It should not happen. Okay, so yes, one of it is turning off the video. You can turn off the video. Then you're going to use audio alone. But you see, even if you use audio alone, when you show a slide, it's still video to them. Okay, there's still some level of video that is going to come to them. So so maybe what you want to do is minimize the slides. Okay, you want to put a slide in, and then what you can do is we need to just train ourselves to just use audio to have discussion. So you may want to change the format of how we are learning there, is that not really to what do you call it, uh, not really to download or teach, but have conversations with people, you know, and you can manage a conversation with the chat box. Okay, so how we do sometimes is that if anybody wants to speak, they type their name on the chat box there, you know. So when the name comes out there and we know, or they just put their initials over there, then we'll call that person. Okay, so it looks like James has something to say, or what is that? Rosman has something to say, and all that. Okay, yeah, Rosman, go ahead, share. And then the unmute, you know, that thing, the where you do the housekeeping in the beginning, unmute and speak. And then when everyone else, so you won't have the luxury of the classroom. You know, the classroom where somebody speaks, someone else speaks, you turn around and all that. You know, sometimes you look at even breakout rooms. You see, one thing is last time when we had breakout, our breakout were tables. So you will be here, someone will call, Miss Jacqueline, yeah, I'm coming, you know, finish and go here. Yeah. But today when you do breakout in Zoom, I mean, they can scream Miss Jacqueline as loud as they want. You're not going to hear it, you know. So, you see, so these are the things. So we have to just work around that. Partly is maybe reduce our content and increase conversations.
Right. Okay. I have this one burning question for you, Jega. Your recommendation on what's the percentage of slides and activities that you recommend out of the 3 hour, for example, that 3 hour session?
Okay, the 3 hours.
Well, roughly.
Okay. I wish I had an answer. Okay, yeah. Because it goes with the dynamics of what you want to deliver. So it will not. You see, it's like this. If we were to ask what's the percentage, is like this. You know, it's like this. Okay, I'm going to go from here to Johor Bahru, from KL to Johor Bahru. How many times would I drive at 110 kilometers per hour? You know, I more or less have an understanding that most of the time I'm going to drive at 110 kilometers per hour, but there might be a situation where I have to drive at 60. Yeah. So I have skipped slides because of the dynamics, and this is same rule as classroom. You know, the last thing, you know, sometimes you see sometimes trainers go, okay, I have another 3 more slides. You know, it's okay, I got 3 more slides. What's the point? You don't know. It's pointless for you to run through, just brush through the slides. If that's enough, it's like a buffet. That's enough. You sense a participant, they are learning is enough, and all that. That's it. That's all. That's what they are meant to learn. That's what you're meant to deliver for that day. I mean, that's my philosophy of it. So I would say if you are doing something very, if you really have to use a lot of slides, send them the slides. You know, PDF the thing and send it to them, and have discussion around the slide. You know, instead of covering 10 points, send them the 10 points. Okay, this is a very simple thing. Okay, this is how you can use breakout. Let's say you have 10 points, right? Okay, guys, I have 10 points here with a small descriptor. I'm going to break this 10 points into 3 points, three sub-segments, okay? And I'm going to pass to room 1, room 2, room 3. I want room 1 for you to discuss the 3 points. Tell us what do you think about it, and you conduct the lecture when you come back. So when they come back, they turn it on, they tell what do they think about it, and you just have to correct, align the thing if they are off. So you don't really have to do download. Allow them to be involved in the conversation.
There's actually, before I pass it to Omar, there's another question from one of our viewers. When I already put in the chat group, when you have conversation, as you mentioned, I think this is continuations to your recommendation for this rural audience. Yeah. Do you normally prepare a list of questions to move the dynamic of the group?
Yes. A short answer is definitely yes, because you always have to have a roadmap. Now, when you go there, you may change that map. You may have additional question, or you may skip some question. All right. So, like for example, today's session, if you would like to see, I actually have 2 pages of what I plan to do, but I have not passed the first page. Okay. Right. So,
Does that
yes,
mean that we can have part 2 with you?
I don't know, right? So I think what is that? What thing? No, we have touched some of it. We have touched some of it. But the thing is, what I think is that you should always have a list of questions to start with, and then let that dynamics take over. You know, it's like ignition line, car ignition.
Yeah, so I'm sure that a lot of people have a lot more questions as well. I've got one, and it's my privilege to ask because I'm one of the hosts. It's basically this. You know how in a real life classroom we get people to move around, right? And I'm not so virtually. I'd like to do the same thing, but I'm not talking about breakout rooms. I want everyone to see the movement. Any thoughts about that? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So let's say, when you do a personality profiling, how you divide the room into 4, and then let's say you read out a particular characteristic, and you say, okay, whoever fits into this characteristic, move into this quadrant. Whoever fits into this, move into this quadrant, and you want everyone to see it, right? So, any suggestions on that?
Okay, I would say go back and use things like Miro. If you cannot use Miro, a free version is actually to use Google presentation or Google Draw. So what you can do is you can create small circles, let them put their initials over there, and you break that into 4 quadrants, and say, okay, I want all of you to move your quadrant into the right quadrant. Okay, so then everyone can see, oh, so you are in this zone, you're in this zone, and all that. So we need to use an external what do you call it?
Like a symbol,
yeah, it's like an avatar. You need to
like
use
an avatar. Yeah, that could be fun as well. So thanks for sharing all this, because suddenly I see that the limitation is really in us exploring the tools that's available. So it sounds like there's a lot of tools out there, and it can only be the potential is pretty unlimited. So this is pretty exciting. So I guess my question for you is, do you have a list or inventory of tools, or do you conduct any training, or are you providing any ebooks on stuff like this, on online games? Yeah.
Well, we've been getting this request to do this. It's just that right now, time is the issue. Things are getting busy. Few projects are coming in, and we're working on that. So we're planning to have one, most likely in August, a one-day workshop to just give people tools as to what are other things that you can do in the virtual space, including how you can create a simple game on what do you call it, using Google Sheet. Whether it's a business game, or it's a strategy game, or what, you can actually create that thing, and you can actually do that inside there. How can you run quizzes in online space. So the idea is this: it's going to be a session where we want to just give people a potpourri of stuff, which you're not supposed to eat it in one training. Okay, so please don't do that. Right? So we are supposed to use sporadically, and you can actually, and we will share what we call as one thing that we use is actually a very simple design canvas, a simple design canvas that will actually let people see on one snapshot, am I having the variety enough for my workshop? Or am I so running so much on slide? Just now you asked the question about, Jacqueline, you asked the question about how much percentage. So based on this canvas, you'll be able to see actually, am I spending too much time on slides or what, so that's something you can do.
All right, so we're running out of time actually. It's
Yeah.
more than 1 hour now. Yeah, yeah. So I know we have, in fact, our audience, they've been participating, and there are a lot of perspective, opinions in there. Some are questions. Perhaps, Jega, if you have, time, maybe you can run through some of the questions that we can't address
I
live.
will. Because I can't see anything now. I'm not looking at that side of it.
Yeah,
So I can.
yeah. So, Jega, how can people contact you or reach your services?
All right, you can get in touch with us, accordia.com.my. That's our website. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, which is my name, Jegatheeswaran Manoharan. I think there's only one Jegatheeswaran Manoharan in LinkedIn. So please communicate on LinkedIn. Let's have conversation. And if you have any questions, or let's say if you have a team of trainers, if you are an organization who's looking to do things, you're having a team of trainers on how we can create interactive classroom. I have run workshops before this, creating activity-based learning for offline. And one of the work that we did with one of the colleges is that to train their lecturers there on how to deliver TVET programs in a very interactive thing. And just yesterday, I got a message from the person there. She said, until today, some of them are actually using it, and I felt happy because that is going to change how academic educations are being done. And for me, my mission is just that I think we need to have more activity-based learning. If you go back to Tyagi, my guru, Sivasalam Tyagaraja, you thought Jegatheeswaran Manoharan was difficult. Try pronouncing Sivasalam Tyagarajan. So we know him as Tyagi. So Tyagi's philosophy is very radical at times, where he says that the purpose of a facilitator is to design activities. That's it. You are not supposed to be talking about content, and all that content is there. You are responsible for the content being there, but you need to design activities so that people can have conversations on the content, and that creates a much more richer learning experience.
Wow. So last but not least, perhaps quick word from you. What is North American Simulation and Gaming Association?
Okay, North American Simulation and Gaming Association, or short NASAGA, is an organization of learning game practitioners who use games for learning. Okay, they could be trainers, educators, and all. These are practitioners who believe in using games for learning. So, and we believe a lot in about using analog games or offline games, not video games. Okay, there is another group on that, on how to use video games, but we can use a lot of offline games to do that. And yearly we have a conference in US. This year it was supposed to be in Montreal, Canada, and that's not going to happen because of whatsoever is happening. But NASAGA is planning to do a virtual conference, which is going to be so much more affordable because not only the price of the conference is so low, which is like, I think it's going to be like ringgit Malaysia is about 100 or 150 ringgit only. It's going to be around that range. I think, let me just confirm that. but the idea is to keep it very low, because even when we go to Nasaga conference, the most expensive is the flight ticket only. So yearly they have a conference in US. Last year was Chicago, and it's a place where game and people who design games, educators, they come together, play test games and all that, and we have a very nice experience doing that. In Malaysia, we did Masaga, the Malaysian Simulation and Gaming Conference. We did one in 2018, our first one, and we did one in 2019. And in 2019, Tiagi came to Malaysia. For some of you who joined us, thank you very much, who came for Nasaga 2019. You saw Tiagi over there. 2020, we had plans to do it, and once again, we're going to have to defer that thing. So we hope 2021 will be a payback year, for everything that we have missed out in 2020.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. And I'm also attracted when I'm at the Nasaga website. It mentions here playful methods, serious results. So it's not just play for fun, but with some results. All right. So I think that's all for today, gentlemen. And thank you so much for audience. Today we have a lot of live viewers, a live audience. You want to know more, you know how to contact Jega. And yeah, okay. Point of View series, we'll have another series which is 30-second episode on Saturday. It will be about inspirational series. We are featuring the social entrepreneurs based in Sabah at 2:30 p.m. We'll announce that in my Facebook wall. Yeah. So okay. So I think that's all for today, gentlemen. Omar, to conclude.
Yeah, just a quick word. Thank you so much, Jega. Really appreciate it. I think there's a wealth of sharing that you did, and I myself have a lot more questions to ask, but for now, this is it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. And let's have a playful day.
Wow, love that. Okay, so I'm going to stop the live streaming.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Already off.
Oh, okay.